All right, welcome to episode 1 of DDSN Radio. Today we'll be talking about college basketball. We had a full week, a little bit about maybe about a week and a half of feast week college basketball action. If you bet with us, we hit the last, I would say that what the last week and a half, we had feast week for about 8 days, and we hit about 65% against the spread on sides. Absolutely dominated. We swept last night, hit 3-0. We were 3-0 last night. But I want to go over just some of the teams that I was impressed with, not impressed with, and then we'll talk about the futures that we started at the beginning of the season and got into, I would say, the middle of Feast Week, and then a couple that I'm gonna mention that I like after Feast Week. All right, so let's go ahead and start with the teams that I was most impressed with, and I want to start with the Florida Atlantic Owls. No surprise, no surprise with Florida Atlantic. They returned pretty much their whole team. I think they lost one senior, one of their backup centers, I want to say, big guy. But other than him, pretty much the whole team returned, and they still have, they brought in some other players. So Florida Atlantic, they're as good as advertised, and they're probably going to be better than they were last year. They did have a upset, I want to say, sometime last week. I forget the school that beat them, but yeah, that was before the tournament, and they had three quality wins, in my opinion. They beat Butler, I want to say by about 5 or 6 points. They beat Butler by. That was a good game, and Butler. That's pretty much only Michigan State's only good win so far to start the season. But that was a great win, and then in round two, they went ahead and they played Texas A&M. That was a great game, back and forth game, but the Aggies turned the ball over too many times. And Florida Atlantic, they did a great job from behind the 3 point arc. Whenever they get hot from three, we know this from the NCAA tournament last year, they're going to win some games. Win the majority of their games if they're hitting their 3 pointers, because when this team gets hot, they really get hot. All right, so those are two quality wins. And A&M, that was a team we're very high on this season. We'll get into that later when we talk about the futures. But and then Florida Atlantic played Virginia, who at the time was 5-1, and should be a pretty solid ACC school. They probably get into the tournament if everyone stays healthy. But they're one of those teams that I've talked about all season so far. They live and die by the 3 pointer, Virginia Tech. And what happened? I want to say there's about 4 or 5 minutes left in the game. Florida Atlantic had 9 3 pointers made. Virginia Tech had zero. Who got beat by 30 points? Virginia Tech. So feast and famine with the Hokies behind the 3 point arc. But Florida Atlantic was as good as advertised. Golden in the middle. John L. Davis at point. They look great. And we have them as one of our preseason tickets at 40-1 to win the national title, and it's still sitting at 40-1 in most places. I know DraftKings has it at 41. I just looked at all of these before I came on here, so if you want, I think that's a great add-on. If you're into futures, I think Florida Atlantic, they're as good as anybody. They have rebounding, they have everything you want: guard play, speed, defense. They could press if you want to. They have Golden in the middle. I think their only weakness is if they're missing some 3 pointers. Golden gets in foul trouble. I think that's really their only weakness. But yeah, I love the Florida Atlantic Owls this year, and they're probably one of the most teams I was impressed with this week, for this past couple weeks. Another was the Villanova Wildcats. I knew Villanova was going to be good this year, but they're a lot better than I expected. They went toe to toe with North Carolina. In North Carolina, they've got some new transfers, so they're probably going to take a little bit of time to gel, some freshmen. But what I was worried about in that game was the size advantage North Carolina had. North Carolina, I think they may have gotten out rebound by Villanova. Armando Baycott had about 18 rebounds, but he only had 8 points. So that, it didn't really work out for North Carolina. The game went in overtime. Probably shouldn't have gone into overtime. North Carolina forced it on the last shot of the second half. But Villanova, again, that's a team to watch. And I think, I don't know what their odds are right now to win the national championship off the top of my head, but they're pretty good. They're pretty good right now. And going off of that, another team that was really impressive was North Carolina. Reason being, they got two 7 footers. Yes, Armando Baycott has been in college for probably like 7 years now, whatever, right? At this point, we're almost done with all the super seniors, the COVID seniors, the 30-year olds. Like we're almost done with them. Armando Baycott, senior, and they have another 7 footer that comes off the bench, and so the North Carolina is going to be trouble because of their size. They brought in Harrison Ingram from Dallas, Texas. He played at Stanford for 2 years. He was pretty good his freshman year, not as impressive his sophomore year. I watched him this weekend. Yeah, he's back to how he looked as a freshman. He looks good. Let him get in shape. The 3 pointer working for him. He's a 3-and-D type of player. He could run, pass. I really like him on this North Carolina offense with a lot of shooters. RJ Davis. Yeah, Carolina's going to be good. By the end of the season, Carolina's going to be good. They have a really good team. Another one, the Arizona Wildcats. Yes, they already have wins over Michigan State and Duke. And I don't know how their schedule is the rest of the way, but Arizona looks good. They look very physical. They look tough. They could rebound. I think they got rid of kind of all the soft players from last year, and now they got Barlow in there. They got Love from transfer from North Carolina, Caleb Love, and you got Omar Barlow in the middle. Pella Larson doing what he can around the mid range, and yeah, not Carolina. Arizona looks really good. I was impressed with them. I wasn't expecting them to be this good this early, but yeah, they look very impressive. Very impressive. I think their only weakness is going to be depth. I don't know how deep they are. We'll find that out during conference play. But Arizona's up there with one of the most impressive teams I've seen this past couple weeks. Another one that nobody's talking about for whatever reason, Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma, they've been their metrics are at the top. They're like top five in all metrics, offense, defense. These guys look good. They brought Porter Moser brought in a whole new crop of players. They still have I forget his name. I think he was a freshman last year from Vegas. I don't Juzang, not Juzang, something like that. I don't have it off the top of my head, but he looked good. Oklahoma's going to be a problem in the Big 12 this season. I saw some polls didn't have. I'll have my after this. I'll make a poll and I'll post the DDSN 24 pack poll on the X so that y'all can check that out. But I saw some polls that didn't have Oklahoma in the top 25, and they had Princeton. I mean, I like Princeton. I like Liberty. I like James Madison. But you roll the ball out on the floor in a neutral. I don't think they're going to beat Oklahoma. I don't think so. Oklahoma put it to Iowa. Iowa doesn't play defense. That wasn't too surprising. But Oklahoma, they put it to USC, and USC put it to Kansas State. And Kansas State's a veteran, tough team, and USC put it to them. And then Oklahoma put it on USC. So that should kind of tell you how the Sooners are looking heading into Big 12 play in the next month or so. I like the way this Oklahoma team looks. They're fast, they're rough, they're tough, they press. I mean, these guys are fast, and they make not fast teams. I mean, these guys, you'll see. Whenever Oklahoma gets, I don't know, whenever I think they play a Big East, Big 12 matchups, whenever that comes up and OU gets some national TV time, yeah, the rest of the nation is gonna find out. I really like the Sooners team. Another team, well, the last team, Marquette. Marquette looks a lot better than I was expecting. I'm not a big Tyler Kolek fan. He turns it over in crunch time too much for me. Too many times. I'm not a fan of Tyler Kolek. I'll say it, whatever. But the perimeter players have gotten better. The Cam Joneses, I forgot their other player that I forget the guy's name, but he's on the perimeter making his 3 pointers. You have Iguodara in the post. He's got this new little floater. He's got this new little floater, and I mean, it's Tony Parker little touch. It's a Tony Parker little touch floater in the paint, and it's almost automatic. I think all weekend I may have seen him miss one little bunny floater, and it looks good. And they didn't beat Purdue. I don't really want to talk about Purdue. I'm over them and their 50 fouls a game that they get gifted just because Zach Edey. I'm not gonna get into it, but Marquette, I will say Marquette's a lot better than I expected. And if they can stay healthy, Tyler Kolek can not turn the ball over. They look good. They look good. Some of the teams I was not impressed with. I'll go ahead and start with the one of the least impressive teams, and that's the Arkansas Razorbacks. I have a ticket. We have a ticket on Arkansas from the preseason win national championship 25-1. That was before I knew Tyrone Minifield is redshirted. I think he's got bad grades or something, so he's not even gonna play this year. And that was one of my favorite players. I was like, wow, Minifield, he was a beast at Washington as a true freshman. Now he's gonna play at Arkansas, bigger stage, better athletes around him, better team around him, and he's redshirted. And I was doing research. I was like, how did I not hear about this? How did I not hear about this? And it's a grades thing. So yeah, he's not even gonna play this year. So I have no interest in Arkansas. They're not even gonna win no national championship. I'll tell you that. So I was not impressed with them, and I'll tell you why. They played North Carolina. North Carolina was beating them up and down the floor, in the paint, in the post, on the boards. And you have, you got a little muscle man running around, screaming and jumping, but they're neck and neck. They had a lead in North Carolina, and they had one player, and again, I forget his name because I remember some people's names, but there's 300 something schools. I forget some. Plus everything else I'm trying to memorize. But he made, I think, 10, 12 shots in a row. And then he was the only one scoring for Arkansas, the only player scoring for Arkansas. And he finally stopped, those shots finally stopped hitting the fall in the second half. And I think there was about 10 to 8 minutes left. Musselman just stopped coaching. He just sat there. He's on the bench. He's on the bench like this. Musselman's on the bench, arms are crossed, pouting, which is nothing new for him. This guy's a total poser. Can he recruit? Yeah, this guy has underachieved like no other coach in the past however long he's been in Arkansas. The guys have so much NBA talent, in my opinion. You could Nick Smith Jr. I mean, all those guys on last year's team, he had five, six, at least six NBA players on the roster, and they couldn't win any games. I'm done with Musselman in Arkansas. He's a known loser. He ain't gonna win. And when you quit on your team with 8, 10 minutes left in the game against Carolina, just because you ain't making shots, nah, I'm good. They ain't gonna win the national championship, and they're definitely not better. I don't know what would I rank. You got Kentucky, you got Tennessee, Mississippi State, Ole Miss yet to be proven. Missouri, like where? I mean, Arkansas, are they going to be in the top five of the SEC? I don't think so. It's going to be tough. Another one, we know this, Alabama. There's another SEC school. Alabama got worked, absolutely worked by Ohio State the other night, and that's maybe I didn't have Ohio State rated high enough, but Alabama, they were about 7, 8, I think 7 point favorites against Ohio State, and they got blasted. So I'm not impressed with Alabama. They still have a lot of time left to try to figure some things out, but yeah, I'm not. It's not looking good early, but they got a lot of time left. Another team, Michigan State. Michigan State, who I thought was gonna be one of the better teams in the country, has looked like just an average team. I think they're still trying to figure things out. Last season they're a pretty veteran team, and now they're trying to work in some true freshmen. But I think I want to say in the next couple weeks they've got two Big Ten games coming up. I want to say, um, in December. So the next couple weeks, I think they got two conference games already. So we'll see, what they're looking like then. They gave a hard fought effort against Arizona, but it just wasn't enough. So we'll see what happens. Arizona's basically a home game for Arizona. It's in California. There's nothing but Arizona fans there. So we'll see what happens with Michigan State. I think they can still turn around. They have plenty of talent to do it, especially veteran guards. You got Walker and the other point guard. We'll see how they do. Um, Gonzaga, I don't. They didn't look very impressive to me. Same old story. You put them against a physical, tough team, a rebounding team, they're gonna get beat. Like I'm surprised they beat UCLA, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's the same story, same result with Gonzaga. They don't rebound, they're not physical, and we'll see how they do. I really think Gonzaga needs to try to get into the Big 12, recruit Big 12 players, play physical ball for a full season before the tournament so your teams can get ready, and we'll see how they could do. But until that happens, Gonzaga is just gonna always be a pretender, to be honest with you, because they're just not physical. They're not tough, and they rely on the 3 point shot. 3 point shots not hitting. Oh, they look great against Purdue whenever they're shooting 70% from three or higher in the first half. Didn't make a 3 pointer in the second half. Got lost by 30. So yeah, I mean it's the same. It's the same thing with Gonzaga. So I wasn't impressed by them. And the other one was Iowa State. Iowa State, they come into this tournament, one of the hundreds from this past weekend, and their metrics were through the roof: offensive, defensive, 3 point shooting, everything. And then you put them in front of some competition, they got killed by every team. I think VCU, they had a 20-point lead, 10 at least a 10 plus point lead, and they blew it. Iowa State ended up winning by 5, 8 points, something like that. Iowa State then played Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech swept the floor with them. Last night Iowa State played Texas A&M. Texas A&M was missing three of their best four players, didn't even play in the game. Iowa State blew a 21-point lead, ended up getting beat by almost 10 points. It's absolutely ridiculous. I'm sure Iowa State will figure it out, but yeah, they're a massive pretender and another team that's live and die by the 3 pointer. That first half, they shooting 70% from the 3 point line. Of course, they're gonna be winning, right? They got a 20-point lead. They're making 70% from the 3 point line. And then the second half came, and they didn't make a 3 pointer until like 10 minutes left. And by that time, A&M's already has the lead. So these teams that are live and die by the three, stay away from them. That's my opinion. At least that's my philosophy. They look good some games, but there's always going to be that game when they play a team that likes to play defense like A&M, and they'll never pull away. They just won't. Sometimes, you'll have that game where they make 23 pointers and there's nothing you can do about it. But in the long term, I don't trust those teams, and Iowa State definitely is one of them. So those are my thoughts on Feast Week. Like we said, betting wise, we did amazing, did a great job. Hopefully that leads into this week and this coming week. I know we got some pretty big matchups. Not today, but starting, I think at least on Tuesday. I think that's when they are. The ACC something challenge. I forget who they're playing. They changed all of these challenges away. They changed them all in the past year or so. So who knows what it is? But there's supposed to be some pretty good games. Um, but let's go on to the second topic of the day, and that's our college basketball futures. We'll go ahead and talk about what we had at the beginning of the year. I think the date is I think it was November 6th or so. You can check it out on our website. Links below here. We have the betting article almost every day, pretty much. I think the only day I didn't have it was last Saturday because there wasn't very many good games, and obviously we had all the college football games. So, but we had it yesterday. It was a light card, 3 games. But now basketball season, football season is finishing. We're definitely gonna have college basketball every single day, for the most part. So check it out. It'll always be on the check it out on Twitter, X, or go to the website. Usually post it like an hour before tip off. It just depends what's going on and the numbers. And but check that out. So let's get into the futures. Like I said, I already talked about it. One of our first ones was Arkansas. I already talked about it. I'll rip up that ticket. I'll put it in the freezer or something. But the Arkansas ain't winning national championship. Our second one was the USC Trojans at 30-1. They're 40-1 now, and I think that it's still a good bet and a ticket to have in your back pocket for the season. Because for one, uh, Bronny James, it looks like he's starting to practice. He's going to come back, and he's probably. I don't know how they're going to use him. I really don't know how. I don't know how they're going to use him. I think he's going to be used like he probably will be in the NBA, a 3-and-D player. Um, his defense, 3-point shooting really improved at the end of last year. So we'll see what he does. But right now, they got Isaiah Collier who needs to settle down. He's a playground player. So when you're a playground player, it looks great. And I'm a big Isaiah Collier fan. I think he's gonna be the number one draft pick in the NBA next year. If the Spurs have the worst record, I wish the Spurs would draft them. If the Grizzlies have the worst record, I don't think they'll draft them. But there's some Euro players, and Euro players are the thing right now. But but anyways, college player, he's at the top of my list. College player. So, but what I'm saying is, he just turns the ball over too much. You see him; he's trying to do the Jason Williams passes through his legs, nutmegs, and like the crazy passes, which is fine. But when you're playing against Oklahoma, they're gonna eat that shit up. Oklahoma turned him over at least 7 times, and I think he fouled out. And I think he fouled out in the Kansas State game. So he needs to calm down. And again, they've only had what, maybe 5 games so far. So it's really early in this season. And that's why I'm saying now that the number is 40-1 for USC, it's a really good time to take him. Excuse me. And I may double back down because Boogie Ellis has looked really good this year. Starting point guard, 50-year point guard. And then they have a great center. I think his name is Douglas. I don't remember. This 7-foot center. He had 10 blocks against Seton Hall. So yeah. And USC likes to shoot the three a little bit too much. They have plenty of size to go inside, work the ball. You have Collier, you can get in, get outside. So, and if Collier can get in, kick it out, Boogie Ellis get in, kick it out. They have plenty of guards. So in March, you want guards. You're gonna want this USC team come tournament time. If they're all healthy, it's gonna be full systems go. Andy Enfield, good coach, and as long as everyone's healthy, I really like this USC team still. The other one we talked about before, Florida Atlantic, they're still 40-1. That's what we have. And like I said, we may double back down on some of these, like the USCs, the FAUs, because right there we get FAU at 40-1 again. That's 80-1 odds. It's not bad. We've been doing pretty well, winning some bets. So, and you don't always want to do that in college basketball or any sport, but it just depends what you like, your preference, right? So if you have a ticket on a team like that and you want to double back down, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because once it gets to March and your team makes it, anything can happen. We know that. That's why I'm trying to help y'all figure out, like, all right, let's buy on these teams now. Let's buy on them again in a month. Like Arkansas, we're off Arkansas. Arkansas don't even exist to us anymore because without that point guard Minifield, this team's lost. They don't have a coach. Anyway, I'm not gonna get off on that again. But I like FAU. Stated all the reasons why earlier. Love them. Texas. We had Texas at the beginning of the year at 40-1. So we have Texas at 40-1, and they've had some injuries, right? But against UConn, I was extremely impressed with Texas. They didn't have Dylan Disu. They didn't have Keldon Shedrick, their center, to go up and get clean. And UT got abused in the paint. They got abused in the paint. And rebounds, everything. They got abused. They still only lost by 10 points. I want to say it was a 10-point game. So UT, they need a big man. Shedrick, is he gonna be that guy? Because UConn's got 2 7-footers, right? Disu's probably like 6'9". Dylan Mitchell, 6'7", 6'6", maybe. Guy can jump 40, 50-inch vertical. But yeah, Texas, I wouldn't double back down on Texas, but if you don't have a Texas ticket, they're about 55-1 now, and I would get it now before conference play starts because Texas is gonna be good because Texas plays defense. They can rebound. and they have guards, right? They got veteran guards. We'll see what happens with Texas. I don't know. I'm thinking if they played FAU, they could probably play with them because of the guards, because of they have a big guy. But UConn, now they got 2 7-footers. I don't know. And then Brock Cunningham's getting a lot of minutes, which Brock Cunningham is a good player, but if he's all alone at the 3 point line, wide open to tie the game, do you trust him? Does he trust himself? Right? So, but I don't know. Brock Cunningham came up clutch in the NCAA tournament last year. So you just gotta trust him at this point. And Texas at 55-1, not bad at all. Dylan Mitchell is probably one of the most improved players in the country so far that I've seen. Yeah, he's gonna be top. Well, with like I said, all the Euros, I don't know, but he's definitely top 5, top 10 college player going into the NBA. So I like Texas. The other one is 40-1. Baylor at 40-1. We got that early, right before the season started. Baylor 40-1. Now it's down to probably 30-1. Baylor is right now. But Baylor, who has better wins than Baylor? Probably Florida Atlantic, maybe. But Baylor's already beaten Auburn. Baylor's already beaten Florida. They're taking on the whole SEC before the season even starts. So Baylor looks good, and they've looked good in both of those games, right? So I really like this Baylor team. They're a little bit different. They're playing faster. They're still playing good defense, but they're not. They're playing like I don't know how to explain their defense. They're playing faster offensively, trying to force turnovers, get out and run. They're not trying to play a half court offense. I like I like the way Baylor looks, and down to 30-1. I think that's still a good price because at the end of the year, I I, mm, I probably like Baylor better than Kansas. I really do. I really do. But we'll see how that goes. I like Baylor. Another one, Texas A&M. Texas A&M 55-1. Well, that number's long gone. It's down to 30-1. And I think the best thing to happen to Texas A&M was getting some injuries in the tournament this past week because their bench guys have been getting some really really good playing time and they've looked good. So now all of a sudden A&M, who usually runs probably like 7 deep, they might be going 8 9 deep, you know, with guys who could play, rebound, shoot the three. Last year they were amazing from the free throw stripe. This year they're a little shaky. That was a good thing about A&M last year. These dudes shot 95% from the line. This year not as good, but we'll see what happens. But like I said, we got them at 55-1. They're down to 30-1. So you may want to wait. That's just tough. That's a big swing. But like I said, A&M, and they also had that chip on their shoulder for not even getting in the tournament last year, which was ridiculous. But well, the past 2 years, 2 years ago, didn't really deserve it. Last year they should have been in. But we got A&M 55-1. I'm big on A&M, so I really like that. Uh and then you also have Buzz Williams, good coach. He's been there, done that in the tournament. So all they got to do is get in, and he could, he knows what to do. And that's more than I can say for some other coaches. Oregon, Dana Altman. Oregon's a little banged up right now, so they don't look as great. I don't know if their freshmen are getting enough playing time. I mean, these guys have like 3 top 50 freshmen come in that could probably play. I don't know how the playing time's looking so far. Daniel Altman's playing a lot of veterans. They're 2 big guys, Dante, and they got another big guy. They've been injured. So, and we got Oregon at 75-1, and they still sit at 75-1, but that's kind of an outside shot. I thought the freshmen were going to get more playing time. Maybe they're not there yet, but we have plenty of time. They have plenty of time during conference season, but I really like Oregon. I really like this Oregon team. They have size, rebounding, guards, 3 point shooting. Dana Altman do the rest, right? And then another one we had preseason was St. John's. St. John's at 85-1. They're taking longer to gel than I thought. They don't have it right now. A bunch of transfers. So when you have a bunch of transfers come in, they got to learn how to play together. Chemistry starts at 0, right? and then they got to work into it. So we'll see how Big East play goes. I wanted to get on at St. John's now, just in case if they did look good in the beginning of the year. But that wasn't the case, and I think St. John's is around 100 to 1 now, so that won't be. I won't be buying back in on St. John's. I don't think they're going to win the. I don't think they're going to win the NCAA tournament. I don't know if they'll get into the NCAA tournament, but we have a long way to go. That was a preseason pick, so right now that's kind of like towards the back of my bank here. All right, all right. The two teams that we got on last week or a week and a half ago, in the middle of the, I think it was after the first round of the Maui Invitational, and I added these immediately, tweeted it out. They've been on articles, and let's start with the first one. UCLA at 30 to 1. They're now 40 to 1. I would still get that. I may double back in. A couple reasons. Mick Cronin, obviously great coach. Defense, rebounding first, toughness first, discipline first, all the good things that you want in a head coach, right? And then player wise, Adem Bona, absolute monster. This kid, I mean, this kid's a monster in the paint. He's like Kevon Looney on steroids. Rebounds, dunks, blocks. This dude's got athleticism out the roof. So, and then they got a freshman point guard, Sebastian Sheldon Mack, not Sheldon Mack. Mac. Oh, this kid's he's gonna be really good. He's gonna be a great. He's gonna be in the NBA. He's a really good point guard, and they've got some freshmen, some Euros. I saw them play against Marquette. They should have beat Marquette. They blew that game. The officials kind of helped that, but after I saw that Marquette game, I said, no, I'm buying on them now because this number's going to sink. And UCLA is only going to get better as long as they stay healthy. So 40 to 1, 30 to 1. And just like USC, UCLA maybe one I buy back on because if like Mick Cronin's been on the cusp, like the past 2 years, been on the cusp of getting into that Final Four. And this year, if this team stays healthy and Pac-12's gonna be tough again, but if they can stay healthy, I think this could be a team because of their size. They just gotta stay healthy. And our second one that we got into at 150 to 1, Mississippi State Bulldogs. All right, and I took this one at the same time as the UCLA, and then I would say less than 24 hours later. Oh, that number's saying I put this out. We've been getting a lot of traffic on the website. I put it out, and then it went from 150 to 80 to 1 in like less than 12 hours. I want to say. So yeah, they're now at 80 to 1. Why do I like Mississippi State? They remind me of the older first when Kelvin Sampson's Houston's team started to get pretty good, and they were just defense, and just like absolute pests, and so tough and rough in the paint, and just rebounding and defense. And if we score 50 points and they score 45, yeah, we're happy with that. Or, we just score 60 points or just whatever. Rock fight central. Just not even a rock fight. These dudes come in the paint looking a fist fight, right? So this Mississippi State team reminds me a lot of those early Houston teams when Kelvin Sampson was getting that program at the beginning to where it is now. And no superstars, no NBA players, just fucking guys that want to rebound and play defense and do it like at a high level and just be a pest, right? And now last year Mississippi State couldn't score. Now this year they're shooting 3-pointers and getting up and down the floor, trying to push transition. So I was like, whoa. I was like, okay. So yeah, I really like the Mississippi State team. I think they can be one of the best teams in the SEC. Like I said, better than Arkansas, better than Alabama. Like I said, my number one SEC team's Kentucky. That's not a surprise. They've got the most talent, right? But Mississippi State could have the best all-around team heading into SEC play and then at the end of the year. But we'll see. But that's why I like Mississippi State. And that number plummeted, like I said, less than 24 hours after I posted that. Um, and I have two more that I want to talk about that are lotto plays, but they're going to be very much in the thick of things come the end of February and heading into March. One is I already told y'all, Oklahoma Sooners. These guys are for real. They really are. They're everything. They're fast. They like to play defense, rebound. They out rebounded USC. USC's got two, three, 7-footers. They got their shooting guards Vince the Prince 7-1, or small forward rather, and they Oklahoma out rebounding them. They're tough. These guys are tough. They got a center. They got a big man. I think he's a transfer from somewhere. I don't remember. Um, Oklahoma at 150 to 1. Yeah, go ahead and bank on that for real. I love this Oklahoma team. The other one is LSU. LSU Tigers. Give me a second here. LSU's got really good size. They can rebound. I really like the way they played in the tournament. I don't know what tournament it was. College of Charleston tournament. I love the way that they looked. I think they dropped one game. I can't remember to who, but LSU had 200 to 1. That's just something I thought. They make their free throws. They can shoot the three. I think if LSU can get into the tournament, which they do have a tournament team if they stay healthy, they got Baker from Texas, who transferred to Nevada, Reno, then to LSU. So he's been everywhere. But LSU at 200 to 1. I think that they may have a shot here. They may have a shot. So we'll see what happens. But mainly the new ad on Oklahoma 150 to 1. That's one that number is going to change almost immediately. So I would jump on that one. And the rest that I kind of said, some of those numbers are still good and they're still out there. They're still available. But that's pretty much what I wanted to go over today. Appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm gonna try to do these as much as possible, maybe daily. DDSN Radio daily, just with different sports. Today I wanted it to be college basketball focus because I kind of owe that to the fans, because I said I was gonna do it, but I never really had a chance to do it because I haven't been at the studio. But now I was able to do it, put it together. I'll put it out, and that way I'll put on the article, like below the articles, with the wagers. That way people can check it out whenever. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all of our socials. I appreciate y'all hanging out, listening. Follow us on Instagram. On Instagram, I'm gonna put up like a question kind of deal, questionnaire deal. So if people have questions, I'll talk about it in the other episodes. So just subscribe to us on Twitter, Instagram, everything. And anybody who follows us and joins in on our Twitch streams, which we almost have daily whenever I'm here at the studio. Ask about the Discord. That's where we talk about everything 24/7, and that's usually for whoever joins in on Twitch. We usually give them the Discord. But yeah, just let us know if you have any comments, questions. Leave us a like. I appreciate y'all jumping in, and we'll see y'all in the next one. All right.